So our Torah portion this week, Chaye Sarah, is a Torah portion in which the beginning, the title of it is The Life of Sarah. And sadly, though, the beginning of the story, we actually hear that Sarah, after 127 years of life, is no more. And it goes on, and those of you who will be here tomorrow morning, I don't want to give away anything. We'll keep you in suspense what happens at the beginning of the Torah portion. However, later in the Torah portion, Abraham sends out a servant, Eliezer, to find a bride for Isaac. And when he goes to find someone, he comes upon Rebekah. And they've been traveling through the desert, and they meet Rebekah as she's watering. She's pulling water from the well and watering animals, and rushes to be able to sustain Eliezer, the servant. Actually, Eliezer is also notable, just as an aside, the first prayer that we have in the Torah, because Eliezer prays to God because he doesn't know how he's going to know the woman he's supposed to find. They said, go find a wife for Isaac. Well, how am I supposed to know? I don't even know what he likes. I don't know what shows he likes to binge watch. I don't know his favorite food. But Eliezer goes, but he knows immediately, because Rebekah comes and rushes over and says, I will come and I will go with you. But even more importantly is what she does. She says, let me get water for you. Now, I'm not just going to give you water, but I'm also going to get water for your camels. And she brings them all water. They've been traveling through the desert, and she rushes back, not only to get the water for the human beings, but also for the animals. And the rabbis talk about this as a sign of Rebekah's kindness, of chesed, of how she walks through the world, that it is this idea of loving kindness. True chesed, true kindness, is when you are not only considerate, when you don't just see the other person in front of you, but you recognize their circumstances. You anticipate their needs. It's what Rebekah did. She anticipated that there would be a need not only for water as they were traveling through the desert, not only for the human beings, but also for the camels. And she knew that most likely the travelers would be too tired to draw the water themselves. And so she did that for them as well. Kindness, we're told, requires an act of friendliness and assumption of goodwill. It also requires selflessness and generosity. Rebekah doesn't expect anything in return for her actions. She doesn't know that she's about to get married as a result of, so just, think about that when you're going to offer water or a drink to somebody else. You never know when you're not looking for it, when you're not expecting it. But she really, it was a selfless act, but it was an act of kindness. It was an act of humanity. The Jewish teacher Alan Marinis, in his book Everyday Holiness, explains that chesed, that loving kindness, involves acts that sustain the other. In the Jewish view, it is not enough to hold warm thoughts in our heart or to wish each other well. We are meant to offer real sustenance to one another to qualify as chesed. These actions need to come out of kindness and no other motive. We are so blessed at Washington Hebrew to have people among us who act in that way each and every day. Many of you do. Actually, I'm going to say all of you do. In some way, show chesed to others in your lives. But when we think about this idea of offering real sustenance to one another, we are so blessed by those who serve as leaders of our hunger project and have for a number of years. Going back, he'll tell me how many years, I think 18 years, Jeff Bergman and Joan Adolph, who is well represented by Stan with those amazing grandchildren. So just think, these acts of selflessness come back. We get something out of it. Sometimes even the next generation and the generation after that. But most importantly, in the act of providing sustenance to others, we help bring wholeness and healing to our world. In a few moments, we're going to have an opportunity to thank all of those people who have been leaders of our hunger project over the past years. But in particular tonight, I'd like to invite forward Dan Kaplan and David Munzer, who are going to share a little bit more with us from their perspective as leaders, our current leaders of the Hunger Project. And as they're coming up, I'm going to ask you if you have ever been part of a hunger packing at Washington Hebrew in either building. Please raise your hand. Tonight we're celebrating the packing of 1,500,000 meals plus. By the way, we're already past that. We set this night when we got to that point, and we've already passed it. They're going to tell us probably how many we're up to, and we'll do more on Sunday.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
1.5 million. It's not enough, but it's a lot of meals. To put it into perspective, and I did the math, if I was going to count to 1.5 million, one number each second, it would take me until about 7:30 Tuesday morning, December 10th, to finish. But Rabbi Shankman asked me to be brief, so I'm not going to do that. But rather, I have a request. For those, and it's a minority, for those who have not participated in our Hunger Project packing event, please try it. It represents the very best that Washington Hebrew has to offer. It fulfills Isaiah's demand to feed bread to the hungry. Okay, we feed pasta, but you get the point. It carries out our congregation's mission statement by providing an innovative, supportive, and caring environment, and it fosters what has become truly our culture over the past couple of years, a fun, loving, caring community where friendships are built and fostered. We've had children as young as 3 and 4 years old working alongside those that are 100 years young and all ages in between. We've had wonderful interfaith partners, and for kids in school, it's a wonderful way to get SSL letter hours while having fun and simply doing good while feeding those in need. So my ask is, try it. You'll like it. And in making this request, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank those who came before me. Joan Adolph of blessed memory, and Stan, her husband. Jeff Bergman, the single most organized human being I've ever met. And our current fearless leader, David, who leads even when on the disabled list, and who has really also become my friend. And to each of the Red Aprons, you are simply the best. And to all of the volunteers, you're amazing. We hit 1.5 million because of you, and we can't hit 2 million without you. There are too many to name individually, but thank you to all of you. And last, but certainly not least, this would not happen without the tremendous generosity of the Tov Fund and the amazing facility staff at both Bindeman and here at Temple, and that bears worth repeating. Thank you to the Tov Fund and the amazing staff at both buildings. It does take a village, and I appreciate all of you. So we can go to bed tonight with a smile on our face, knowing that someone with food insecurity had a good meal or two because of each and all of us. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
So just a few things that I'd like to add as well. Thank you, Dan, for those really kind words. And I also just want to add my thanks to everybody that Dan mentioned as well, because we really couldn't do this without everybody here. And I look out in the seats right now, and Dan touched a little on who our volunteers are, and our volunteers are all of you. You know, children 5 and 6 years old, prime timers, besters, people within WHC community, people outside of the WHC community, the McLean School, everybody. And I can't emphasize how much what Dan said about we would love for more people to even get involved. If you've noticed in the program, we think we've had over 2,000 people involved since we started this. We've done 125 different events that we could count. There were probably some more that go farther back. And Rabbi Miller mentioned at the beginning of the service about being thankful for Washington Hebrew at our Thanksgiving tables. And I think only a place like Washington Hebrew could sustain an effort like this for almost 20 years with more than 2,000 people providing over about now 1.6 million meals. Not just the financial support that we get, which is incredible and necessary, but the staff, the volunteers, and the clergy. So I really think it is something that all of us should be proud of and all of us should be thankful for. And also, only at a place like Washington Hebrew could people from all of those different backgrounds make connections with people who they normally wouldn't come across maybe in their daily lives or even in their lives at WHC when we have that great, big, diverse group of different people. So thank you to all of you. It's been an important part of my family. Melissa and I started doing this years ago when our kids were really young. They're in their 20s now. It's been an important part of Washington Hebrew, and most importantly, we're getting food to people who really need it. So thank you to all of you.
Don't go anywhere. So they're not going anywhere yet. You have in front of you a pamphlet. It should be in the seat in front of you. And we want to call attention to a special group of people who we're going to invite up for a blessing, and those are the red aprons. These are people who have earned the red aprons that they wear during the hunger packing. You can see them on the cover here. And these are people who are specially trained to help make sure that it goes smoothly, that people are engaged, that the right amount of food is in the bags, et cetera. And so it's in the blessing, don't worry. And so I want to invite those of you who are present in the chapel right now to join us on the bima. And we know some are not here, but these are our red aprons, past and present. We think of Joan Adolph of blessed memory, and we invite her husband, Stan, to join us. Julie Alter, Mimi Arnold, Elaine Bartner, Holly Bergman, Jeff Bergman, Richard Burka, Dan Kaplan's already here, Alexa Cohen, Harriet Contract, Ann Dorfman, Izzy Dorfman, Rachel Ahudin, Emily Munzer, Alana Fredericks, Joyce Isaacson, Victoria Kaplan, Bonnie Kramer, Nicole Laitman, Kevin Levy, Mateo Levy, Rachel Loeb-Castonis, Shabani Mishra, Ben Munzer, David Munzer, Ada Nussbaum, Justin Putnam, Melissa Schwartz, Ruth Seif, Barbara Sunnies, Maria Thompson, Bill Winishke, Mark Wynn, and Katie Wynn Ritzenberg. Here, let's move this back a little bit. Everyone's on this side. How did that happen? It's okay. Right here. So feeding the hungry is, as we heard, a fundamental value in Jewish tradition. Isaiah taught, Isaiah taught, as Dan mentioned, that we should share our bread with the hungry and bring the homeless into our home, into our house. In a midrash on Psalms, we're taught that when you are asked in the world to come, what was your work? And you answer, I fed the hungry, you will be told, this is the gate of Adonai, enter into it, you who have fed the hungry. There is a special place in heaven for those who feed the hungry. So as Dan and David were saying, it's not too late, come and help us feed the hungry. So tonight we celebrate all those who have been given a place in the world to come, who have demonstrated and taught the value of caring for those in need in our community and have made it possible through your example for others to do the same. Tonight we celebrate the legacy of our red aprons, our sinarim adom. I had to look up the word for apron, I didn't know. Sinarim adom. They measured and they weighed. They distributed hairnets and gloves. Rabbi Miller was hoping I'd mention the hairnets. They packed and they sealed boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes up to 1 million, now 600,000. We're already almost there, almost 600,000 meals in all. Each one of you has volunteered your time, your energy, and many, many, many Sundays to ensure that the needs of others in our community have been met. Bodies and souls have been nourished through your hands. And so we offer thanks to you who sustain our entire community through the works of your hands. And I'm going to ask my colleagues to each read one of these as well.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. You sustain and nourish us with the sacred wisdom and traditions of our people, teaching Torah to us and to our children. May God bless you and watch over you.
Ya'ir Adonai panav elecha v'choneka. You work alongside us to bring the light of justice and compassion to God's broken world. May God's face shine upon you, and may God always be gracious and kind to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. You bear witness to our lives and accompany us on our journey. You help us elevate our consciousness and search in every hour for God's presence in our lives. For your dedication to our community, may God lift your hearts and grant you wholeness, fulfillment, and peace, to which we all say, Amen. And we say a huge Toda Rabbi. It's actually fitting this week because we're about to celebrate Thanksgiving, our moment of gratitude, but Toda does not even begin to express how grateful we are to each one of you for all that you've done, not just for each meal, but we know that there's so much love that goes along and accompanies each meal that nourishes those in need, not only of food and sustenance, but of friendship and of knowing that somebody cares for them and loves them. And that too is the type of fulfillment that our world needs so much more of it. That is true chesed. Thank you for each one of you for bringing that chesed, that love, and that kindness into the world. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. I want to mention while he's up here, Stan is here this week for our Hunger Shabbat. He chose which week he would be here. Last week was our Veteran Shabbat. He would have been here for that as well, as he has been throughout the years. Stan, you continue to bless us as a community. You continue to inspire us. And I know tonight that you are here, and this particular Shabbat was so meaningful because we are also honoring and remembering Joan and all of the work that she did as she sat by our side and led us through the hunger packing as a partner with Jeff, but even more importantly, as your partner through life.